Just before we get started, Remembrance Day is tomorrow. I have a quick story. I don't know if you guys can see this, but my daughter made me a poppy, so she was really happy to help out today and make that for me for today's presentation. So I promised her I would say something, so that's why I'm talking about it. And also, I'm proud of her. So, anyways, I'd like to quickly, get started with this presentation. Really, it's around meaningful insights based on appraiser feedback that came through conversations that we've had with you folks through the annual appraiser survey, through a number of different means and emails and communications that we've received. And so I'd like to begin by just sort of sharing with you, if you want to skip over to the next slide there. Sort of the agenda for today. So just a reiteration of the 4-pillar promise. We've got the collaborate together, which includes things like the portal polling, survey results, learning together, which is us, supplying our HBI data to the appraisers, innovate together, such as our recent improvements, which include real view and some other things like the dashboard, celebrate together, and we'll do that through some polling and get some information back on that from you guys so that we can make the right decisions. And then we'll have a session of wrap up and questions. And this time, and I apologize for last time, we had some issues around the Q&A in the chat. We weren't able to get to everybody's questions, so we'll try to do that a little differently this time and hopefully get to some more of those questions. So I'll just start here real quick. This is just an org chart outlining how RPS ties into the Brookfield group of companies. As many of you know, RPS is wholly owned by Brookfield Business Partners, and that's a large Brookfield Asset Management, part of the overall Brookfield Asset Management Incorporated. Royal LePage is also part of this family, and more recently Genworth was added, which was rebranded and is called Sagen. RPS will begin servicing a portion of the AMC business for Sagen in the near future, and we're very excited about this new chapter. Wanted to share that amazing news with you. So just kind of a reiteration, this is in the original communication that went on around collaborate together, learning together, celebrating together, innovate together, and then delivering all that value together. We believe that AMCs have an important role to play. And part of our responsibilities is to support you and our appraiser partners. Jump to the next slide. So just kind of going over some of those results. As far as we asked you some unaided questions, to sort of better understand what's working and where there's room for improvement on our end. And here's what you said. So as far as things that are working well, especially for those who have been working with RPS for some time, we have easy to use forms. We're fast, friendly, and knowledgeable support teams, well-designed, easy to navigate portals, and helpful appraiser relations managers. So that's what we're doing well. And that's not an exhaustive list, obviously, but there is also room for improvement and some of the feedback that we received and we wanted to share with you. And this is based on, again, the annual survey and feedback that we've received outside of that as well. The process, accepting quotes, payment frequencies, automated order communications, pressure on turnaround times, repetitive questions at the end of the report. So we'll delve a little bit more into those kinds of things. I just wanted to share sort of a high level, the good and the bad, or the good and the ugly, all in one slide here. So here's what you said. As far as the COVID response went, we've got a bunch of comments from the various appraisers here. I don't want to say it's all downhill from here, but clearly we have some work to do in other areas. Some of which we learned last year and some of what you told us directly. We appreciate your feedback, good, bad, formal or informal. And we've got, this slide is sort of all positive, and we'll get into the sort of the other things that we need to improve on later on, but just as a positive slide, we looked out for appraisers' best interests and supported decisions not to enter the houses. We were I think we were actually the first organization who did that, provided language and suggestions on limitations and wording within the report. We got the Real View program up and running really fast and out to the market so that you guys could be safe and the homeowners and all parties would be safe in that process. We added a new delay so that it would not count against your scorecard and delay the clock on your turnaround time. We provided ongoing information on how to proceed with inspections and other helpful information. Continue to recommend that you follow the government regulations and didn't require an interior inspection. And then for portal for pictures was a great idea, and most of the clients did not feel comfortable, or it was just easier doing it the old way via smartphone or email or by text. I will use it to upload photos. So we had some good feedback on that. We put a lot of hard work and effort. Everybody on the panel on this call, worked tirelessly to make sure that we were doing our best to communicate out to the network, to give you guys the right information, to keep you guys in the loop and informed. So move on to the next one. So this was a question around the rating of the importance of the following attributes. So this particular question, the chart shows the percentage of appraisers that indicated an attribute was either strongly or extremely important. Your answers along with your indicated satisfaction gives us an idea of where to focus our efforts and to make changes in relative terms. You can see the most important attribute was related to fees, from the fee amount, the quote system, and the payment frequency. We're working on various improvements to create more efficiencies to make things easier for you and exploring all options related to payment and frequency. We'll also have an update on the quote system shortly, so please stay tuned. So we've got a poll coming up that's going to talk about this, but just before we get there, appraisal forms was also rated high or rated of higher importance, and we know there's improvements needed. But the overall satisfaction relative to that rating for RPS forms was very high, especially for repeat users. We have been making improvements, as you all know, and we will continue to do so. On the other end of the scale, the importance of business communications and A&M support was lower, not low, just lower than others, and satisfaction is high, so we won't need to focus there right now. Just wanted to take an opportunity on that specific note to say what a great job that our A&M team does, and we know that both from what we see internally and what we hear out from the Appraiser channel. So great job, team, on that. So order communications is the next order of importance, but your satisfaction was rated lower. We know we may need to clean up some of the duplicate communications, the irrelevant communications, and that work we're working on now. In order to make these changes meaningful, though, we want to hear from you. So we're going to do a poll now, and these polling questions are designed that we get the appropriate feedback from you, and then we implement that into our process of making improvements. So answer honestly, candidly, and we can start the poll now. So what is your ideal payment frequency? Weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, or anytime? Well, let's give you a minute to think about that and respond before moving on. I know you guys have probably feel like a broken record in some of these polling questions, but we are really making changes now, so your feedback is really important. Like I said, answer honestly, answer candidly, and don't be shy. Give it another 10 seconds there, and then we'll close that poll. Share the results. Okay. Let's have a quick look at the tally there. Be able to show those results. Perfect. Okay, so overwhelmingly, either bi-weekly or weekly seems to be the majority there. Looks like we have a couple anytime. You guys just, you guys just must be raking in the dough. But anyways, yeah, weekly, we had about 7%, bi-weekly 22%, monthly was lower at 9%, and then anytime at 2%. And then we had a few people that didn't answer, obviously. So, okay, well, that's great. So we'll move on to the next poll. And this would be, really important to us as we go to begin changing the notification. Sorry, do we have another slide? Oh, geez. Sorry, can we flip to the next one? Okay, perfect. So satisfaction with the RPS Order Communications. So the feedback again is only 18% were actually satisfied with the communications that we were sending. 36% were somewhat satisfied, which isn't overall terrible, but we had a number of people who were neutral, which really means they're not overly satisfied. And then we have 18% as somewhat dissatisfied, and then almost 10% are very dissatisfied. So we recognize that, we've heard that for a while now. I haven't been here overly long, but we've been here for a while, or hearing that for a while, and we know that we have some work to do around the notifications. So the next poll is designed to understand more about that, and then we'll follow up that with some other information. So if we could move to the next poll, and you could if you could indicate how you perceive notifications. So either it's a helpful reminder, a workflow manager, an unnecessary pressure, a badgering annoyance, or none of the above. So if we could kind of get that poll up. Oh, looks like the poll, sorry, my apologies, my eyes aren't working well today. The poll was already up. All right, so I think that we've been on that poll quite a long time now. We can probably close that and share the results. I have to get my prescription checked here. I couldn't even see that poll up there. All right, so let's share those results to see what folks on the other end of the phone see. Okay, so we have about 11% at a helpful reminder, 3% at a workflow manager, C and D, an unnecessary pressure of 25%, and then a badgering annoyance at 18%. So we've got a huge group in that sector, which is completely understandable and aligns with what we've heard historically. So that's really good information because we're actually working towards changing the way that we do the communications. So we'll talk a little bit more about that at a later point. But this information specifically is going to help guide those decisions on how we communicate with you going forward. So we'll get one more poll going really quickly, and this is around satisfaction of the order communications. In the next slide, please. So we ask you to rate your satisfaction with the following AMC providers based on their order communications on a 5-point scale, and only 54% indicated they were satisfied or somewhat satisfied. We want to change that. So how would you prefer to receive order notifications? Email, text, portal message board, or none of the above? Give it a few more seconds there, and then we'll close that off. And again, we want to make the right changes. We don't want to just stop sending you one type of notification only to replace it with something else that's completely ineffective as well. So this is really important from our perspective because we want to send you the right notifications that you actually want to receive and that you'll visibly take action on, right? So let's share those results. So we've got 42% that want to receive those notifications by email, 6% by text message, 15% by portal message board, none of the above, and then no answer. So, one of the things we're looking into is potentially having this configurable at some point. And this kind of highlights the fact that that's probably the way that we need to go, so that you can choose how you want to receive those notifications. Just as a follow-up, the communications, and maybe we need some more clarity around this, but we had in the previous poll, I think it was around 40 to 50% found the communications annoying. So it must be just the frequency, the number of notifications, the types of notifications. But once we get down to the notifications that you actually want to be seeing, primarily, or it seems by this poll anyways, that the majority of you wants to see those notifications by email. All right, so we can flip to the next one with recent improvements. And with regards to some of the recent changes we've made, we asked you to tell us how we did. And I'll talk a little bit about these, these changes here. The new functionality that auto-populates the date when the report is signed. So we had a high level of satisfaction. That was actually the highest, so that was great. The changes to upload appraiser documentation, such as E&O and licensing information and so on, that was high as well. Not quite as high, but very high. The improvements to entering and validating comparable addresses, that was a known issue for quite some time. We were glad to finally get a solution in place that actually solved those issues. The addition of the new delay waiting for photo information from the applicant. Again, I mentioned that before. That was a benefit for the appraiser network so that they could actually delay the file as they waited for those photos and it wouldn't count against their scorecards. The new implementation of the car roll to check if the property was inspected. So as you know, the forms, both scenario AIC and OAQ forms aren't designed to fully capture that information in an easy to read format. You're supposed to put part of it in the scope and some of it in the extraordinary assumptions and hypothetical conditions. The lenders really needed to know who was doing what, and we added that in to make it easier. The new functionality that auto-populates the lot size from the DCA, the new mobile-friendly portal dashboard to view your orders, and the auto calculations of the living floor area for comparable properties. So, we realized that some of the stuff needs work, and the intention was never to stop providing you with technology advancements and enhancements, but rather to make small changes more frequently so that you can benefit from them sooner, and then you can provide us with your feedback. So as an example, we've heard some feedback recently about the mobile responses part of that portal. Some of the wording overlaps with regards to the orders. So we're looking at how to fix that. Some of these things, they're known issues to us going into it, but rather than waiting, 1, 2, 3 years to get anything done, we release small increments of changes so that you guys can benefit from it, and then we can head in the right direction of making everything the way that it should be going forward. So. And then lastly, if you want to slip to the next one, we asked about appraiser appreciation and our partnership. We don't want to be presumptuous and decide for you, especially when it comes to how you want to be appreciated. Funny enough, the ones taking the survey said they want to participate in more surveys. Now, there was other answers as well. I want to be invited to attend roundtables to share my thoughts on industry topics. I want to receive additional fees as a top volume appraiser. I want to be invited to join an AMC advisory council. I want to receive appraiser scorecards to assess my performance. I want AMCs to host appraiser appreciation weeks. I want AMCs to recognize the top appraisers in the industry. And I want to be featured in a published success story. So, some of the takeaways here, it's really important to recognize for us what you guys actually want and how you guys want to be appreciated. So, we're going to continue the surveys. Obviously, said the folks who completed the survey again, but we are looking at, and we've talked about it before, but we're looking at doing a roundtable or an advisory council. So we'll be reaching out separately to see who wants to volunteer for those types of things, but we're going to put those into action so that you guys can feel and be a part of what we're doing and the decisions that we make going forward. I want to receive additional fees as a top appraiser, things we have to look into. Advisory council is the next one, which I talked about. We're looking at enhancing our scorecards so that they're more specific and easier to read and guide you better as to what you want to expect or what you're expecting from those particular things. And then we're looking at, obviously COVID has prevented some of this stuff from happening, but that's not an excuse, but we have been looking at holding appraiser appreciation events across the country. So once the country opens back up and we all feel safe again, we'll begin to do those kinds of things. And we're looking at different recognition programs. So we're taking this information and we're going to reach out, we're going to start the conversations and get things moving along so that we can actually put this into action so that you guys can feel that you're really a partner with RPS, and we can move this together, move this forward together. So with that, I just want to thank you again for your time and feedback on the annual survey, on your emails that you send directly to myself or to the A&M team, or the conversations that we have over the phone. I just wanted to let you know all of that feedback is greatly appreciated. It will be used to make meaningful changes, and just be patient with us because it does take time, unfortunately, to put those changes into place, but our hearts are in the right place and we are doing those things. So thank you very much, and over to Barend for the real view.
So I want to thank everyone for joining us today. And in our last webinar, we featured our Real View product, and we're not going to spend as much time on it today, but we just want to show some of the highlights. We did do some polls, we did get some questions, and so we want to address them today. And so again, Real View was created for our industry to help keep appraisers and applicants safe while delivering quality appraisals efficiently. And just some of the benefits of using our Real View product. It's easy, secure. It's a mobile web application. Digitally photos are tagged for added security. My favorite that I talked about last time extensively is once the applicant hits complete, it pre-populates the photos right into your form. So you'll just click on the photo library. All the photos will be there. Then you can choose which ones you want to use, and you can drag and drop them into the report for the ones that you want to use. The process automation, it stays up to date. We keep it up to date to make sure that it's secure for everyone. And so we did a poll the last time to see which features the appraisers liked the most about it, and it's the one that I stress the most. It pre-populates the photos into the forms. That to me is one of the best features that we have. So some of the questions that we got asked: can I try Real View before we ask applicants to use it? Absolutely. You would just use your phone, follow the same, enter the PIN, enter the postal code, and you can use it yourself so that you have an idea of how it works, become better familiar with it before you ask the applicants to use it. The appraisers were asking if, can we use Real View to take the exterior photos? Absolutely. Again, you would just use your mobile device, use the PIN, use the postal code, and you can use it to take the exterior photos as well, and it will pre-populate as well into your report. Can my team use Real View when they're doing interior inspections? Yes. If you're comfortable doing the interior inspections, or when COVID goes away, hopefully soon, you can still use Real View yourself to take the interior inspections and pre-populate them into the report for you. What if the applicant or the system have the correct postal code? I think this was meant to say the incorrect postal code. So when the lenders enter the address of the applicant, sometimes they will enter the wrong postal code, and then the applicant actually knows what their real postal code is, but you do have to ask them to use the postal code that was provided by the lender. So that's how it will activate the Real View. Can we use Real View with limited Wi-Fi or no cell service? Unfortunately, no. It is something that we're going to look into in the future, but you do need Wi-Fi or cell service in order to use it. And the last question we were asked is, can we download photos to our files? Again, right now, that is not possible, but we are definitely looking at that so that you can download the files and keep them on your desktop or an external memory card.
Sorry, just a quick interjection there. So once the photos are taken with Real View and uploaded into the actual forms, you can actually drag the photos right from the forms into a folder on your desktop. So that's one way of downloading. You can't do a bulk download, but you can drag them right out of the forms library right into a folder and save them there.
I learn something new every day.
Perfect.
Now we'll just open up the floor if you want to put any questions into the chat or the Q&A. Stephen and I can try to answer some of them now. The ones that we can't get to right now, we'll definitely follow up after the webinar. So we have one question here. Sometimes when clients take a lot of pictures and they go to add the pictures, it will start to delete pictures already taken. I have not heard that feedback before, but that's definitely something we can take away and look into. And we can get back to you on an answer with that, but I was not aware of that.
So can you repeat that question? I don't see that again for some reason.
So the question was, sometimes clients take a lot of pictures and they go to add pictures and it will start to delete pictures that they've already taken. So I guess, are we asking, is there a photo limit within RealView? And that I was not aware of.
No, there's no photo limit.
No.
I'm just trying to understand what's happening here. Is this feedback that we've gotten from the homeowner, or is this the appraiser saying the photos are getting deleted from the forms library? I'd just like to understand that, just to kind of delve into that a little bit. But one thing that can happen is a homeowner does have the ability to delete a photo that they don't like while they're using RealView, so that may account for what you're talking about there, but I'd have to understand a little bit better. We could get that information from you and definitely investigate as to what that what that issue is.
So Jazz, we'll reach out to you to get some more detail on what's occurring with this. Do we have any more questions for today?
Well, I have a couple Q&A questions that I'm able to see, and again, I'm not sure why I can see some, can't see the others, but to Wayne, we apologize for last time. We know we had some more questions, and we're having some technology issues here with being able to see all the questions for whatever reason. But we have Chris Gear. Can new order notifications be modified based on type of order? Example, rush versus standard. First notification being email and second notification being text when the order will be reassigned soon. Options to be set in the portal by Appraiser. Yeah, so Chris, I did mention a little bit about this before, based on your feedback. So currently with the system, no, the system is designed in a very specific way to send out notifications based on certain timestamps. But we are looking at, again, a lot of this survey or a lot of this particular webinar is about, how do we communicate better with you guys? What are your recommendations? How would you guys want to see those things come? Because we don't want to bombard you with a whole bunch of emails where you write a rule that goes into your junk box. That's completely against what we're trying to accomplish. Or actually trying to accomplish, how do we make things easier for you? How do we take some of that stress and pressure off of you? So to answer your question, we're investigating those kinds of things, and based on the feedback, we'll make some changes over the next number of months whenever we can make a determination on what the best way forward is. Go ahead, Barry.
Sorry, Stephen. So Jan has a question. It may be difficult to delete pages in the report, and if we could have the ability to arrange the file pages ourselves like a PDF. So Jan, I'll take a stab at this. So when you click on the forms button at the top, on the left-hand side are all the pages in your report, and you do have the ability to rearrange them. Just click on the page you want to move and then drag it and drop it. Drag it and drop it to where you want it to be in the report. And then we also have the trash can button that you can click on to delete pages. But if you have quite a few pages in the report, sometimes the bottom pages won't delete right away. And what I recommend is that you click on that page you want to delete, drag it to the top of your report, and then click the trash can, and that will definitely delete the page for you. Stephen, I've got a question here for you, again from Jan. The DCA auto loads in the rental addendum, can we have this area not attached?
So again, I'd want to fully understand that. So the DCA auto loads in the rental addendum. So the DCA auto loads in the rental addendum. So if it's So it's this AIC, I assume, it's AIC, I assume. And if it's a standalone rental addendum, you would have to include the DCA. That would be part of the standalone rental standalone rental. If it's just the addendum, I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to look into that, Barend. I don't know if you know the answer to that, but we'll have to take that one away. Unfortunately, I just don't have the information on that. But we can take it away and have a look and get back to you once we understand that.
Yeah, Jan, can you email me after the webinar with a little bit more detail, and we'll investigate this further for you. Do we have any other questions for right now?
Yeah, I have a couple more in the Q&A, and we've got got some from Wayne. Will there be more RBC requests soon? So, yeah, to answer your question, Wayne, we're working tirelessly with RBC to make sure that we service the business in the best way possible. We definitely will be receiving more RBC requests. We're just working internally to make sure that we have a full solution in place so that we can best service RBC and we can blow the pants off the competition. But definitely, we're going to be receiving more orders that way. And as I mentioned in the webinar as well, we will be onboarding Genworth early next year. So we'll be seeing orders from Genworth as well. So there will be an uptick in overall volume across RPS coming early next year. We also have one from Cal Kosh. It would be nice to be able to make some comment on quote responses. So if I understand this correctly, and I could address this from something that we're going to be implementing fairly soon, which you'll see some communications coming out about, but we're changing the way that we do the quote screen so that all lenders, for all lenders, you'll be able to put in various reasons for your quote increase request, and also for what the reasons are behind that. So I don't know if that's what you're looking for here, but that is what we're addressing very shortly. Yes.
So Stephen, just to add to that, that is correct. The appraisers would like more, the ability to put more detail in why they're asking for a fee increase, and they're hoping that then when the assignment team sees that they'll say, okay, that's reasonable. I understand why they're asking for that fee increase. Because sometimes they can just put in, I need a fee increase, but they're not able to fully explain why they feel they need that increase for the particular order.
Yeah, and that's great. So you guys will see some changes coming up fairly soon on that. Will you be able to, and I don't know how many of you are RBC approved, but if any of you are RBC approved, we'll be implementing that RBC approval, quote approval screen onto all lenders, so that you'll be able to actually specify all of the different fee increase add-ons and why you're doing it and so on and so forth. So you just that's going to be coming out fairly soon, so stay tuned. We also have another question from Mike Chuckaluk. Can you work towards firms having their own templates on the forms portal? They have to take yours and remake them. So Barend, I'll let you take that one. I believe there's a way to do certain things, but I'm not as familiar with the forms as you are, so I'll let you jump in.
So I understand what Mike is saying. So what we do is when you get a new order and you have launched the forms, and you can put in enough information into the form and then download it as a fillable PDF, and then rename it for various templates that you use in your area. So that's how we currently do it in our form system. But I think what Mike is saying is there any way that they can use their own templates that they have created to make it easier for them? And at this point, Mike, we don't have that ability to do that. You do have to create your own templates using our forms. But once you have your templates created, then it should be fairly easy. When you get a new order and you find the template that you want to use, just append it back into the order, and then you have your template created. But at this point, you can't use your own outside of our form.
Yeah, so if I understand the question as well, and Barend, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe what you can do, and maybe this is just answering the same question in a different way or answering similarly, but you can save your template offline. Is that the process, Barend, where you can create a template, save it offline, and then append it back to the specific order? Do I have that correct?
Absolutely. So when you get a brand new order, you take the full appraisal template, you fill it out for, depending on the area or the type of property or the region, and then you just download it as a fillable PDF, and then you can open it up from your downloads folder, and then just rename it full appraisal template, this area, or however you want to name your template. And then you're right, when you do get another order that is similar, then you just append that template back in.
Right. So, Mike, would it be helpful, or first of all, does that answer your question? And then maybe some feedback from the other folks in Mike as well is, would a training seminar or something around a training seminar regarding that type of thing, it wouldn't be all around that per se, but that could be an item on the training seminar. Would that be helpful to you folks? And you just feel free to answer through the chat, whether or not that's helpful, whether or not we answered your question. We have one from Jan saying, yes, using templates is very helpful. Any other feedback that way? And that's just sort of a general question. If you guys could participate, putting something in the chat or the Q&A. Are you guys interested in training sessions where we put it, like, as opposed to, we'll do the webinars, we've committed to continue to do those, but would you be interested in having training seminars around, portal usage, appraiser forms usage, those kinds of things? We'd be more than happy to put those on, but we'd need to hear back from you folks on the line here, whether or not that would be interested.
Just yesterday, I did a training session with a firm as they wanted to know how to properly log delays. So we were willing to put on training sessions for various topics that would be beneficial for everyone.
Okay, and we've got Wayne said, I use fillable forms always and not my own templates. So that's some feedback we got there, but maybe we need to reach out separately. Maybe everybody's too shy today to respond in the Q&A, but happy to reach out offline. We have another one from Jen saying something here. Just going to figure out.
It says, yes, appraisers do not use the portal to its fullest potential.
Right. Okay, yeah, so we've got Cal saying, yes, good idea. So it looks like we've got some good feedback there, but feel free to reach out and provide your feedback directly to Barend or directly to myself about, what, not only around webinar content, because we're going to, like I said, we've committed to keep doing that, but also around things that you would find useful. So if that's training around the forums, if that's training around the portal, if that's whatever, if you want us to put on, seminars around, the most commonly used responses for a particular area to help you improve your quality, happy to do that too. But we need to hear from you. So, and that's what we're trying to sort of draw out here with this, is how do we better help you, with your job, with working with RPS, with feeling respected, with all of those different, factors and nuances between the way that we do business. Like ultimately, I hate to cliche this, but we're all in it together, right? We're all in it to service the client at the end of the day, being the bank and the homeowner. The homeowner technically, because they're the ones applying for some reason for getting money, right? Whether that's a mortgage or a line of credit or a purchase or whatever that is, right? At the end of the day, we're trying to facilitate that so that they get their money as quick as humanly possible. Now, I ask you to put yourself in that position as an example, and I'll put myself in the position. If I need to purchase a house and I'm in a hot market as an example, it's important for me to hear back quickly, not just from the appraiser, but from the bank, from all parties involved. So, just think about those kinds of things. And I know it's hard and it's annoying and it's frustrating to be given, that immense amount of pressure. But at the end of the day, if you could just flip that around a little bit to put yourself in the position of that person who wants the money badly, just consider that when you're doing that going forward. But then we've got another response here saying, from Alexandros, if you can host a webinar on how AMCs work and what are key factors that determine how they select work on appraisers based on TAT, price, appraiser score. Learning from you is also critical for appraisers to better understand our role. That's a great idea. We can take that away and figure out how to put something together around, obviously what we're able to share with that around you, with the group. Ultimately, and I kind of was mumbling on about this, but and I agree with the statement 100%. If you guys can better understand what we're trying to accomplish, whether that's through delays or various technology, you're going to better understand what to do and understand the expectations, right? So that's a great suggestion, and thank you for saying that, Ambrose.
Stephen, we have one more forms question, and then I'm being told by the moderators in the room with me that we need to wrap up soon. But anyway, yeah, sure. The question is from Diane. Why do save data usually not available in the next form? So if I think I understand this correctly, what happens is if you're going to use a recently completed form to clone it into the next one, that's not going to be an issue. But if you're going to use a report that you completed, say, 4 or 5 months ago, then yes, some of the data is missing, and you just need to reach out to your A&M, and we archive parts of the information just for saving it on our server. But we can easily put the data back in the report that's missing. You just need to let us know. We'll reach out to our IT team, and we will tell them to unarchive the data. And then you can use that. Moving forward. So it says not cloned. So Diane, maybe if you could send me an email after this with a little bit more information, if I didn't answer your question correctly, reach out to me after and give me a little bit more detail, and I'll look into it for you.
Perfect. Well, with that said, hopefully we've. And again, I apologize if we haven't seen all the questions for whatever reason. We I don't know why, but we can't always see all the questions. So my apologies in advance for anybody who has asked a question and hasn't gotten an answer. Again, I just want to thank you for taking the time. This is so important for us as an organization to understand the needs of the appraisers and how we can help them and how we can move things forward. So please feel free. And again, thank you for your patience as we are starting to do these seminars. We'll get better and better, I promise. We'll be total pros by the end of next year. So thank you guys. Have a great day. And thanks so much for your partnership, and have a good week.
Thank you very much, everyone.